Today we will continue the auxiliary equipments of the traction system, and this class is important for 5th semester diploma electrical students. Now students, train lighting. Now the usual method of providing light and fans in the trains is from Rosenberg generator, which is a very popular form of a generator, which is essentially a low voltage DC generator having a characteristics that the voltage generated is almost independent of the speed of the generator. As we all know that by controlling the speed we can change the generated EMF by the relation Eg equal to phi z n by 60 into P by A. So it is clear that the generated EMF depends upon the speed of the motor or the generator. Now it is a special kind of generator where the generated EMF is independent of the speed of the generator. Thus, speed variation in the train do not affect the output voltage. So you have to remember this generator whose name is Rosenberg generator, and the name has been derived from the scientist or the inventor. Even the reversal of speed has almost no effect on the generated voltage. So if the speed has to be reversed also, then the generated EMF do not changes. Thus, it is essentially a constant voltage generator whose output is constant throughout the operation. Now, the generator is coupled to the driving wheels of the locomotive when the train is at rest. The supply circuit gets automatically switched on to get batteries provided underneath the carriages. So there are provision of batteries so that when the supply circuits gets off or automatically when they are switched off, the set of batteries provide the which are provided underneath the carriages serve as the source of supply. Now in normal running, the battery supply gets disconnected from the generator and the generator takes up the load, because during normal operation the battery do not have any role to play. They will be only on the charging mode or they will not supply any part to the load. Usually the generator is connected so as to feed the batteries and continues to charge them when the train is in motion. In some cases, the supply of train lighting is taken actually from the batteries and the generator merely serves to keep charging. However, in most cases, the generator accomplishes both the duties, viz. Supply for train lighting while running as well as charging the batteries, so that the supply can be drawn from them while the train is at rest. Now, multiple control. Let us understand what are these multiple controls. An electric train comprises of a number of units. Each unit comprises of a motor coach, passenger coach and goods wagon. The number of units depends on the intensity of traffic of the line. The motor coach comprises of the traction motor, the driving axles, control gear and protective equipment. Many trains have more than one motor coach instead of an electric locomotive. There are two or four motors in each coach, which increases. There are two or four motor in each coach, which increases the adhesive weight of the train, consequently developing greater tractive effort. However, their control gets more complicated. Generally, a multiple unit control is incorporated, whereby it is possible to control all the motors from one motor coach. Now, conductor rails. Instead of trolley wire, a conductor rail for feeding is laid out. Some suburban railways at 600 volt employ this method. The rail is mounted on insulators. For collecting the current, a shoe as shown in the diagram is used. So this is the wood protection where necessary. These are insulators in other words. There is the conductor rail and the insulator. Running rail, these are the two running rails which has been shown in your screen. Conductor rail system, right? So the shoe presses on the rail with a force of about 15 kg with a current collection rating from 300 to 500 amperes per shoe. Since the conductor rail is not always laid on the same side of the track, shoes are attached to the motor coach or locomotive on both sides. Conductor rail with a side running contact is also used as in the diagram. Let us check the diagram. Yes. So these are current collecting shoes. You can see from here conductor rail protection insulator, conductor rail with side running contact. Although most of the electric traction serves use the overhead lines for supply, yet in congested areas, the underground cables, the supply is through conductor rails. However, their use is limited only to low tensions or voltages not exceeding above 600 volts. In this system, high conductivity steel rails are used. Insulated from each other, the current is collected from the rails by collector brushes, which are known as your current shoes. Now, what are its general features? We'll now understand. The essential electric and mechanical features of electric tractions are as follows: high starting torque. So, it has been seen that during the accelerating period, tractive effort is needed to provide acceleration and also to overcome train resistance, whereas during the free running period, though the velocity is high, only sufficient tractive effort is needed to overcome train resistance. In case of gradients, extra tractive effort will be needed in both cases. So in order to produce a high tractive effort at starting, the motor should develop high starting torque. Series characteristics. It is desirable that the traction motor has a series speed torque characteristics because of the following consideration. Parallel running. A traction unit may have a number of identical motors fitted to different wheels as long as the wheels diameter are same, the operating speed of the motor is same, and hence load on each motor is also same. However, due to different rates of wear of the wheel diameter may differ in course of time, and this affects the load sharing. First, consider two motors with shunt speed torque characteristics running in parallel fitted to wheels with unequal diameters. If the motor speeds are N1 and N2, the corresponding torques delivered by them will be T1 and T2 because their speeds are different. Thus, the motors shared the load very unequally, the high speed motor exerting a much lower torque. Next, consider the motor operating under the above conditions to have series speed torque characteristics. Thus, the torques T1 and T2 are nearly equal. This explains the desirability of series characteristics for traction motors. Self-protective property. Because of the series speed torque characteristics, the speed of the motor reduces as load torque increases. The exact relationship neglecting saturation is N is proportional to 1 divided by root over of T, where T is the torque and N is the speed. The horsepower output of the motor is proportional to torque into N, and what is N? N is the speed. From the formula, output in watts is equal to torque in Newton meters into 2 pi N. That is, horsepower is proportional to torque into speed or T into N, which is also proportional to the root over of torque. Hence, by increasing a load torque, to 3 times the full load torque of the horsepower increases about 1.73 times that of the full load horsepower. Thus, the motor protects itself against excessive load overloading. Now, high free running speed. Motors with a series characteristics have high speed at low loads. This is of advantages when the train is running on load or when the locomotive itself has to be run. Reduces KVA demand during overload. In case of overloads, the KVA demand from the lines is much less in case of motors having a series characteristics as compared to those having a shunt characteristics for reasons already explained. Simple speed control. The motor should be amiable to simple methods of speed control, and also to large number of economical speeds should be possible. Because if the speed control is more complicated, then what will happen? We will control the speed obviously, but the time taken and the personnel required for controlling the speed will be very highly skilled person. So we go for only simple speed control methods only. Now, amenability of dynamic or regenerative braking, it is a very important part of traction system, and it is desirable that easy methods of dynamic or regenerative braking should be possible to reduce the energy consumption. Now, good commutation under sudden voltage rise. To understand this, let us understand briefly the phenomena of commutation. When a coil of the armature passes from the region of north pole to that of the adjacent south pole, current in it undergoes reversal. This reversal, however, delayed because of the induction of the coil. Because due to the property of the coil, this is delayed. To facilitate this reversal, an external EMF is suitably injected into the coil by providing interpoles. There may be sudden voltage rise due to opening of substation circuit breaker, or in order to clear a short circuiting circuit in the track. This given rise to a sudden current rush which to be commutated, the traction motor should be able to effectively deal with this. Temporary interruption of supply. Temporary interruption of supply are likely to occur at crossovers from one track to the other. When the supply is restored, the back EMF may have reduced, and this is likely to cause heavy current surges. The motor characteristics should such that it is possible to minimize the current surges. Now, robustness. The traction motor should be robustness. So the traction motor should be robust construction to withstand the continuous vibration to which it is subjected. Minimum weight and overall size. The weight of the motor should be minimum as possible, so that the arrangement and hardware for fixing the motor are simple, and also reduce the weight effect of saving of the if specific energy consumption. The space available for fixing the motor is limited, and so the overall dimension should be the minimum possible. Now, this was all about today's class. In our next class, students, we will discuss about some numericals, and then we will directly switch over to the last part of your syllabus, that is braking characteristics. It is very important, and braking characteristics is these types of braking are frequently asked in your semesters. So in our next class, we will directly switch over to braking characteristics. Thank you, students, for watching.